Hi, hello. Let's talk about a quite complicated but very important topic. Your family can absolutely be the reason that you're miserable. I think it gets glossed over way too much that so many people, children, teenagers, young adults, whatever, do not have a place that they can truly call a home. And if you're watching this and you clicked this video for a reason, I want you to know that I see you and that it's not an easy feat. It's not something that's easy to deal with, and you are right to feel hurt and you are right to feel that it's incredibly difficult to deal with. I wouldn't be surprised if I end up making like 10 parts of this because there's just so much to it and there's so many stages of it, right? Because like it depends on like how old you are, what your living situation is like, so there's just so much to say about this, okay? But let's start somewhere. That same toxic family, but sometimes even other people, will try to convince you that what you're going through is not that bad, or that there's so many dysfunctional families that like it's whatever, like everyone is dealing with it. That is a problem. The problem is not you noticing that you're being mistreated too. The problem is that we're getting so desensitized to it, and instead of like holding the people accountable that we're supposed to provide you with a safe space, we're taking the blame towards the people that are suffering from it. And what I often see happening with that is like there will be so much like understanding or like justification that comes up for that toxic family, or like, you know, bringing up their own past and, you know, it's their first time living as well, and like all of those things. And, you know, to an extent, sure, everyone has their own stories, and a lot of people don't have it easy. You know, maybe your own parents and those family members themselves did not have a great upbringing, right? So like sometimes they just don't know better, right? But I believe we're using that compassion in a completely wrong way. You can have compassion for that party and understand that, okay, yeah, sure, they had their own difficult past, and not take it to justify their mistreatment that is going on right now towards their children or towards their young relatives or towards whoever they're taking care of. Compassion for one party does not nullify the mistreatment of the other. So you're allowed to be mad. You're allowed to feel like, you know what? I feel like they should have done better. I feel like I deserved better and I would do differently. I think that's a healthy way to think. I think it's good to think that you aspire to be different if you were to choose to have children. Everyone has their own journey and they will always have the chance to improve their lives, to better themselves, you know, to take care and like treat whatever pain that they have that has led them to who they are now. That's their story, but you have your own, and your story deserves to be honored as well, and your story deserves to be taken care of and deserves to be told. And when I say that, I think it's important to say that in those toxic family dynamics, a big part of it is making you feel guilty for the way that you feel. You will feel angry or like have those thoughts of like, you know what, I really feel like I'm not, like, this is not right. And you will feel guilty. You will feel guilty for thinking that. You're allowed to be mad. And that is such an incredibly huge issue because you end up policing your own thoughts, your own feelings. Your thoughts and your feelings are supposed to be yours, but because you're made to feel guilty for all of those things, you start second guessing yourself. You start like not having trust in like how you think and how you feel, because how you feel and think is one way, and then there's constantly this party that is supposed to be taking care of you, you know, that you're still kind of have to look up to, or you're trying to look up to, that is telling you you're wrong, you're wrong. So there's this huge like cognitive dissonance that is happening, and that does a number on your self-esteem. So I want to say that again. What you feel and what you think, your thoughts, your soul, you are your own. What you feel, what you think, your soul, your mind, everything belongs to you. It's yours. So be mad, be angry, you're allowed to. That being said, I understand that in those toxic family dynamics, it's almost impossible to actually express that outwardly, right? That's another topic, right? And also, no matter what you do, I want to heavily highlight that your safety comes first. Do not do anything or say anything that will jeopardize your safety, okay? And if you ever feel like your safety is in question and you have to fear your life or your, you know, whatever, seek help, because then it's an emergency and it's like way beyond this, okay? But even if it's not that threatening, but you still know that you can't express that because it won't like do anything and it will just lead to more arguments, more discussions, you can have that safe space internally. Do not police how you feel, because sometimes what I've seen is like you do not even allow for these thoughts or these feelings to come up within yourself. It's like you're trying to suppress them. They don't need to be suppressed. You are right to think and feel how you feel if you're being mistreated. That's healthy. That's your body telling you this is not how it's supposed to be. That's not what needs to be suppressed. What needs to be suppressed is that guilt that is being projected onto you for feeling like that. Now, oftentimes, that whole spiel goes hand in hand with family sometimes telling you that you cannot trust or should not trust anyone outside of your family, and you should not talk to anyone outside of your family about family. Sometimes not even other family members. Just whatever happens just stays within the family. And that's to keep the mistreatment and the dirt under the rug. You cannot believe that. You cannot believe that you cannot trust anyone. That will follow you for the rest of your life if that's what you believe. There are very, very, very trustworthy people out there. There will people that you will be eventually able to call your own family as long as you keep yourself open to connecting with others. It is so important. Not allowing yourself to do that, or your family not allowing you to do that, is so detrimental to how you will interact with others, your social skills. That will influence the way you feel about yourself, your self-worth, if you even belong to this world, because you have never learned to open up to others. You can trust others. Now, that doesn't mean that you will never be hurt by others, because sometimes that happens. Like, you go then and like try to make friends, and then sometimes like something happen and your family will be like, see, I told you, that's why your family is the only one you can count on. No, that is not the conclusion to draw. So if your family tells you cannot trust anyone outside of your family, you go ahead and trust someone outside of the family. They mistreat you, you move. You keep moving. Your family was not right, but they want you to believe that they're right, so you go back to that toxic place. That's why it's so important to cultivate your own space. What I mean by that is a sense of self. That can be through anything. It can be through reading, it can be through writing, drawing, whatever it is that gives you a sense of relief and like gives you a space, whether that's a mental space or like an actual space. Maybe it's like an activity or something that you're doing outside of the house, like whatever it is, and helps you get to know you more outside of that toxic dynamic, is so important in like liberating yourself from what's going on at home. And that's especially important if you're still in a situation where you're reliant on your family for housing, right? You're not in a position to move out yet. But even in general, like I've seen like adults deal with that same thing because psychologically they're still in that enmeshment with their family, and they're still always putting their thoughts and their feelings, like their way of living, against the families, because they have never really like separated from that. You are your own person. That's the one thing that gets lost when you're in that toxic family dynamic. Like, you forget who you are. So whatever it is that you can do, it can be through friends, it can be through like connecting with others, like whatever it is that helps you feel like I can grow my own garden of me and where my identity can grow. Do that. I cannot enforce that enough. That is like the most important thing that you have to do. That sense of self will give you comfort because it will make you realize that there is more outside of that toxic family dynamic, right? Because especially if you're still living in it, it's really hard sometimes to even understand what life could look like outside of that, right? Looking elsewhere and like seeing what else life has to offer and just finding things that bring you joy will always keep that space open in your head of like, things can be different, like this is me outside of that. This is something I truly enjoy that has nothing to do with that side of my life. And try to open up. Don't be afraid to connect with people. You have to teach yourself that there are people out there that are not toxic, that there are people out there who will let you be free and will let you think for yourself and still love you. You will find people who share the same views as you. There will be people who will not make you feel like you're an outcast. You might even find people that you will call family eventually. Just be willing to try and be willing to be curious of a life outside of that toxic family, because it exists. As long as you're willing to try, I promise you that will not be your entire reality or identity. There's so much more life out there for you, and you will have it. I will definitely have to make another part because there's just so much more I want to say, but I feel like this was a good point to conclude this section for now. But yeah, as I said, I feel for you so much, and like this is just such a minimized thing at this point, and I feel like we're so desensitized to it, and we can't be like, we have to try to be better. We owe it to each other, we owe it to ourselves, we just have to. I don't think there is a way around it. I hope this video helped. I really wanted to say things that are doable to do, you know, because I think sometimes we can simplify things and it's just like, oh yeah, just like, especially when you're older, but I didn't even get to that really, but I feel like a lot of the times it's just like, well yeah, just like go no contact with your family, and it's just like, well, it's not that simple a lot of the times, you know. So I really wanted to emphasize things that are very doable and that don't depend on like huge steps you have to take to change your entire life to be able to have a better life. Like I think a lot of times there are small things that are not really that small that you can do to really improve your life and like build a life already outside of that dynamic while still living in it. So I hope that that resonated with you. If you have anything else within this that you would want me to go more in depth with, then please let me know in the comments below. And again, if you're watching this, please take very, very, very good care of yourself, okay? There's a good life waiting for you out here, okay? Don't despair. Don't despair, my love. We got this. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye.